There are many great questions in life, like, why are we here? Is it okay to put pineapple on pizza? What is the meaning of life? And perhaps most importantly, am I a soup? Several weeks ago, I found myself asking that very same question after someone sent me a video that was trying to convince me I am. But something didn't feel quite right about that. I couldn't accept it at face value, so I had to dig deeper to answer the question for once and for all. Are we or are we not soup? So, let's do what most people do when they want to define something. Google it to get a dictionary definition. There are two senses listed. A liquid dish, typically savoury and made by boiling meat, fish or vegetables, etc. in stock or water. Or a substance or mixture regarded as resembling soup in appearance or consistency. The video I was sent rested on technicalities. It claimed that everything after the typically could be removed, and that the second sense meant basically anything could be construed to be soup in some way. However, although this fits the dictionary definition, something has gone wrong here. There is a disconnect between what can technically fall under the umbrella of the term soup and what we as speakers of English actually give the label soup. In order to work out what's going on here, we need to understand what a dictionary definition is. In the past, dictionaries often used what is called a prescriptive approach, that is, specifying a definition as the correct way to use a word. However, in the last several decades, most dictionaries have moved over to the descriptive approach, that is, trying to create a definition that captures how real people actually use the word. Lexicographers are trying their best, but it's really difficult to draw a precise line around what the actual speakers of a language think about a word because it varies from person to person, is often vague, and also changes all the time. So, what do actual people really use the word to describe? I asked a few friends, and I think this response sums up the general mood of it pretty well. Humans aren't soups because you don't eat people, and people are generally encased by a solid and soups are not. At best, we are calzones. Admittedly, I only asked young people, mostly from Australia, in 2021. Over time, the results could change. For all we know, there may well be lots of people in the future willing to describe themselves as soup. Take, for example, the word dog, which at one point in time only referred to specific breeds, but now refers to all these other creatures we now call dog. Even within one point in time, different people might categorize the same object in different ways. In the 70s, American linguist William Labov conducted an experiment when he asked a bunch of people to classify various cup and bowlish sort of objects, and different people chose different places to draw the line between different terms. Another example is what defines someone as an athlete. We can all agree that someone like Usain Bolt is an athlete, but I don't reckon me just going for a jog in my local park makes me one too. Where do you draw the line between someone who is an athlete and who isn't? It's pretty much impossible to find a fixed boundary. But what happens when a word having precise boundaries is part of what makes it useful in the first place? Many types of jargon, or specialized language relating to a specific group with a common interest, need terms that are clear, otherwise they lose their effectiveness. For example, in linguistics jargon, a phrase often refers specifically to a group of words, sometimes even just one word, that form a unit within the structure of a particular sentence. However, in normal conversation, even the most seasoned syntacticians probably use the more common meaning of any group of words that go together in some way. Sometimes you can get weird classifications in legal contexts too. I don't think too many of you would be on board with the idea that tomato sauce is a vegetable, but for the purposes of school lunch plans in American schools, oddly enough, at one point it was proposed for it to actually be specified as one. So, from a linguistics perspective, how can we define concepts if it's impractical, if not impossible, to draw fixed lines around them? One of the most widely used models that might be particularly useful here is the prototype model, created by American psychologist Eleanor Roche. It's the idea that concepts are formed around a really strong example of it, known as the prototype, and other less strong examples of it are layered in various levels outside it, in the periphery. One way to show prototype effects is pausing the video right now and thinking of the first stationery that comes to mind. Got one? Okay, chances are you're much more likely to have picked a prototypical example like a pen, pencil or notebook than you are to have picked a more peripheral item like a compass or a piece of chalk. So, taking the descriptive approach and using the prototype model, let's answer some interesting and controversial questions. As a chess player, I get asked this a lot.
Is chess a sport?
Well, the rather underwhelming answer is that it is if you think it's one. But what we can say is that for most people, it's not really a prototypical example of a sport. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Well, it may well be if you think it is, but once again, it's probably not a prototypical example either. Then there's the most influential question since the beginning of time. Is mayonnaise an instrument? Well, as long as you think it is, then it can be, although I would be extremely surprised if anyone rated mayonnaise as a prototypical instrument. So, let's recap all that and answer the most important question ever, the very thing that brought us together in this video. Are you, dear viewer, a soup? A dictionary definition won't do here, it just doesn't capture reality. But how do we capture reality in a couple neat sentences if everyone's viewpoint is different? To conclude, if you think you are, then go ahead and crown yourself one. It seems unlikely that you rate yourself as a prototypical soup, but who am I to judge your language? You are now equipped to categorize whatever you want. Don't let yourself be constrained by other people's prescription. Unless you're in a legal or scientific context where it's probably not such a good idea to confuse or even mislead everyone. With great power comes great responsibility though. Just because you think a certain way doesn't mean everyone does. Soup or not soup, we're all people, tiny little cogs in the amazing machine that is language.